Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have something different for you that I've never seen on YouTube before. It might be out there, but I just haven't Googled it. But I did record an entire intro because what I wanted to do first was do my makeup and Google all of my diagnoses and see what came up. But then I realized when I was doing the video that I could only do one diagnosis at a time because it's hard to explain everything, and due to the questions that come up when people Google the diagnoses, you end up talking a lot. So the one that I ended up doing today was fibrous dysplasia. So what you'll see is me Googling fibrous dysplasia. What comes up when you Google fibrous dysplasia, and me talking about it and doing my makeup. So I'm gonna put maybe a little bit of footage of me explaining things in the beginning, but let's get started. What I'm going to be doing is, I've seen many famous people, they just Google their names and they see what comes up, and you know, talk about what comes up, if it's true, if it's not, if it's kind of a funny thing to be looked up. But today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be actually Googling my diagnoses and seeing what comes up on Google, and then doing my makeup at the same time. I probably won't be talking as much about the makeup, but you will get to see me do my makeup as well. So without further ado, let's do this dang thing. We have a guy on this channel today. His name is Otis. How do you feel? I love you. So yeah, Otis is sleeping on the bed. You can't see him because the camera angle. You could see my cup, but you can't see him. He's really cute. I wish you could see him. All my makeup is currently in this bag right now because Max and I took a trip to La Crosse, Wisconsin for one of his gigs, and it was a lot of fun. Because as most of you know, I'm having surgery on Tuesday, May 7th. Today is the 4th, and just, you know, dry shampoo, makeup wax. I did pull this out too, but the James Charles palette. As I was saying, I'm having surgery on this upcoming Tuesday. In 3 days at 8 o'clock in the morning, I will be getting my neurostimulator trial. My last video was me like talking about the psych evaluation that I had to go through. So if you're interested in more of that, then go check out my last video. And I do have makeup on my face right now, so I'm actually gonna take my makeup off. This is just the makeup that I had on from yesterday. Don't judge me. I was extremely tired before I fell asleep last night, and I did fall asleep in my makeup, which happens more times than I would like to admit. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my makeup off. So I will be right back. So now that I've changed my shirt to a Pokemon t-shirt because way better, and Detective Pikachu is coming out on May 10th. Not sponsored, but I do love Pokemon, and so does my boyfriend. I might be out of this primer. I think she might be dead. Oh, no. She's still got some in her. I'm gonna try, like, not to tell you guys as much about my makeup, and then just, like, really do the talking of what I wanted to do. So, I have my computer next to me right now, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be Googling my diagnoses, starting from the first diagnosis that I ever got in the medical world regarding my health to the very last one. My hair is a freaking goddamn mess. It looks like a bird's nest. I'm wearing one earring still. New trend 2019. The first thing that I was ever diagnosed with was fibrous dysplasia. I know I did half of my diagnosis story, and honestly, fibrous dysplasia is my main diagnosis. That's what caused quite literally everything else in that I have been diagnosed with. Like, I haven't done as many videos on it as I would want. I feel like it's probably because right now I'm dealing so much with my spine that, like, I can't, like, I just went and saw my my fibrous dysplasia doctor. He's all the way in Chicago, so it's really, really, really hard for me to see him, first of all. And he's a great doctor, but because I have had to deal so much with, like, my spine issues, and having the spine surgery and everything that I had almost a year ago, guys, it's almost been a year. I've been focusing more on that because that has been the worst pain that is in my body at the moment. I think a lot of people, because of my spine, assume that my leg doesn't hurt, which is quite the opposite, actually. And in fact, since my spine is getting worse, like, it adds more pain to like what I'm dealing with. I'm always in pain. Googling my diagnoses, the first diagnosis that I ever got was fibrous dysplasia. Fibrous dysplasia is a very rare bone tumor disease. It affects anywhere from 1 in 30,000 people to 1 million people. And the 1 million people have another disease that goes hand in hand with fibrous dysplasia called McCune-Albright syndrome. And McCune-Albright syndrome affects more so your your hormones, your skin, and a whole bunch of other things. I'm not as educated on McCune-Albright syndrome, just because I do not have McCune-Albright syndrome, but I do know through my group and all the FD warriors that I have become friends with that a lot of people who have fibrous dysplasia do have McCune-Albright syndrome. Fibrous dysplasia affects your bones. You can have it in one bone or in every bone in your body. Magic Star Concealer. It's a horrible disease, and there's no cure for it, and the disease causes our bones to become very fragile by forming lesions or tumors inside of the bones, usually resulting in breaks, fractures, and the only way to treat it is with surgery, pain medications, bisphosphonate treatments, which are for usually people who have osteoporosis to strengthen the bones, and that's pretty much it. We do not have a cure because the disease is so rare. So many people have not heard of it. So this disease in particular, I feel would be very interesting to Google, because when I was first diagnosed with it in the year 2000, yes, I am ancient. I am going to be 29 next month. Because I'm ancient, we didn't have Google. I mean, we had Google, but it was not nearly as, you know, educational as it is right now. There were only a few sites back then that my mom found, and like one support group. But anyways, we're gonna Google fibrous dysplasia. So I Googled it. Here's a picture. Sorry for the shitty photo. First thing that comes up is fibrous dysplasia genetic? It's genetic. It is a genetic condition. Genetic means that genetic just means that something happened while you were in the womb. A genetic mutation happened, meaning it's genetic. That a genetic mutation is what caused the... I'm dropping so many things. It means that it was a genetic thing that happened while you were in the womb. No part on the mother And the gene specifically that it affects is the GNAS1 gene. The second question is fibrous dysplasia a disability? Yes, it can and it cannot be. It can and it can't. So fibrous dysplasia affects everybody differently. Like I said in the beginning, fibrous dysplasia can affect 1, it can affect 2, it can affect 3, it can affect every bone in your body. It goes case by case. And some people have pain from very early on in life and they're diagnosed with it early. And then other people don't have pain at all and they go in for something else, like a routine exam, and it's just randomly found, which is very strange to me because I have always had pain with my condition. So I started having pain at 7 years old, and the pain continued, and by the time I was 10, I had a permanent limp. My parents took me to the doctor. The doctor said that he thought my hips were growing too much. He ordered an x-ray, and then boom, they found fibrous dysplasia all up in my left hip and femur. For a majority of my life, I didn't become disabled until I was 22 in 2012. I had always had surgeries and throughout the years, but I still felt like I managed to live a life that was pretty normal. I had a full-time job. I had a gym membership. And yes, I did have 2 major operations on my leg when I was growing up. The rest of them came when I was an adult. When I became disabled, I was 22. I woke up one day, I'm not even kidding, in horrendous pain, and the pain never went away. So usually, if I woke up in pain, I just knew that I overdid it, usually just that I overdid it and I needed to, rest, and that's kind of how I felt at first. And then the pain just never went away. So, and it only got worse and worse and worse, and I saw so many specialists and doctors, had so many surgeries scheduled that didn't happen. I almost had a full hip replacement. That actually almost happened. If I had had that hip replacement, it would have been really bad, let's just say that, because where my fibrous dysplasia is, I don't have any healthy bone that an implant would be able to stick into. I have seen many hip specialists, and the one thing that's in common with all of them at this point is that no one will touch my hip. No one will do surgery on it. I have a hip impingement. I should Google that. I think I'm just gonna do the fibrous dysplasia one for this, because this is gonna take a while. And maybe I'll do more diagnoses in the future. I almost had tons and tons of different surgeries, and then I'm just really glad that certain things happened where I didn't end up having to have that surgery, because it would have just really messed things up. And I need to get readjusted. This chair can be so uncomfortable at times, but I sit in here for you guys. I sit and I do it for you. Because when I do my makeup, I don't sit this long. But when I talk, I do it for you. Just so you know. So I hope that answers that question. That it can affect anybody differently. So it could be a disability for one person who has fibrous dysplasia. It could not for somebody else. Like I said, it just varies on the person and their case. But yes, many of us end up disabled and in chronic pain for the rest of our lives, because There is no cure for a disease. So if you're watching this and you, as I'm going through these questions, it would be awesome if you could make a donation to the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation. I'll leave a link at the bottom of this video to the foundation. They're amazing. They are the ones that raise money to make sure that we have treatments available to us, that research is being done, and maybe one day we will have a cure. So yeah, I'm gonna leave a link below. If you make a donation, please let me know, and I will shout you out in my next video, and maybe I'll do a birthday video as well. I want to make it to 300 followers, but I think I'm gonna do some kind of video thing to raise money for the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation. So I hope that this specific video is educational to you about the disease itself. And a lot of these questions, like, I'll explain more because some of these questions are educational. The next one is fibrous dysplasia a tumor? I was always told that fibrous dysplasia is a tumor or a lesion, a cyst. I would say that it could fit into all those categories. A tumor is just what I was always told, was that it was like a bone-eating tumor disease. That's pretty much what I've been saying for my entire life. And some of us call it cysts, some of us call them our tumors, some of them call it lesions. It all just depends on the person and their preferences. Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. I love this freaking palette. It's so beautiful, but sorry guys, I'm not going to be explaining everything because I need to talk about fibrous dysplasia. I would say that everybody has their, everyone has their idea, I guess, of what they would like to call their fibrous dysplasia. I call it my tumors. Since I've been young, I've been saying, it's not the tumor. Oh, this dog, it's not your mama. It's just the postman. His mom is not here. That's why he's hanging out with me. He's literally right there. He was all by himself. And he's sad. He just left me. Is fibrous dysplasia a tumor? Yes and no. And yes. Yeah, it's a tumor, it's a lesion, it's a cyst. It's so many things. It's usually one of those three. Tumor, lesion, cyst. Fun fact. Fibrous dysplasia is caused from normal bone tissue being replaced by fibrous tissue, causing the tumors to form in the bones. Fun fact, fun fact. The next one is fibrous dysplasia fatal? In 99.9% cases, no, it is not fatal. Unless you have fibrous dysplasia in your skull and in a part of the brain, or in the skull that puts pressure onto the brain, because when you have fibrous dysplasia, it expands the bones with the tumors. The tumors expand the bones. If you have fibrous dysplasia in the skull, there is the chance, and like I said, it is very rare, but there is the chance of death. In my case, because my fibrous dysplasia is located in my lower region of my body, I do not fall into that category. But there have been people who have passed away from fibrous dysplasia or ended up in the hospital very sick because of McCune-Albright syndrome, and what McCune-Albright syndrome does to your to certain parts of your body. So most of us, even people who have them in their skull, we survive. We just end up living in, oh my god, I just poked my eye. We just live in pain our entire lives with no cure. So that's like the only way that I can really describe it. But is fibrous dysplasia fatal? In 99.9% cases, I would say no. But can it be fatal? Yes. The next question is fibrous dysplasia rare? Fibrous dysplasia is extremely rare. It's so rare that no one's heard of it, that people that end up getting disabled, such as myself, end up getting screwed over by the government because no one has heard of fibrous dysplasia. I didn't meet somebody else who had fibrous dysplasia and who I could relate to until I was about 23 years old. So I went more than half of my life feeling alone and feeling like I had nobody to talk to or to relate to, and that caused me to grow up really quick. And now, because of social media, I'm able to connect, and other people are able to connect with me, and I don't feel so alone anymore. But it is very rare. Like I said, if you have fibrous dysplasia and McCune-Albright syndrome, you are 1 in a million. You are literally 1 in a million. I can't say that for myself. Maybe if you put all of my diagnoses together, I would definitely be 1 in a million. But that is how rare it is. And depending on if you have it in one part of your body or multiple parts, it's usually between 30,000 to 60,000 people. It's extremely rare. We celebrate rare disease with this community. My freaking name is Rare Bones. We are extremely rare. And although I hate my disease, it did give me an awesome freaking screw name. And I am now devoting my life to educating people about the experiences that I go through, that people with rare diseases go through, that people with rare diseases can be babes, that we are not a burden, and all of the good things. The next thing is fibrous dysplasia curable? No, we do not have a cure. There is no way to cure this disease, and there never will be until somebody finds a cure. Until we get that cure, that's going to be the reality. Until we get that cure, we're going to live with this disease from the moment we come out of the womb to the moment that our souls leave our bodies and we die. It's kind of grim to say, but it's true. We really do need that research. We need the funding. We need more attention brought to rare diseases, because knowing that I'm going to be suffering with a number of things due to my fibrous dysplasia until I die is very hard and difficult to process when you're a young person and you become disabled at a young age. And many people with fibrous dysplasia even become disabled before the age of 22 or 23 like me. Like I said, I'm going to put the link below to the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation, and if you could please make a donation. My birthday's coming up June 1st. You can do it in my honor. You can donate $1, you can donate $2, you can donate $5, anything that you are willing and able to help with would be amazing. Yeah, go and donate and let me know if you did, and I'll shout you out, and I will shout your name to the rooftops because I will love you so much. Next thing is fibrous dysplasia an autoimmune disease? I am not sure if McCune-Albright syndrome is an autoimmune disease. I know that McCune-Albright syndrome affects multiple different parts of your body, but I think this question is referring to fibromyalgia, which is an autoimmune disease, which one of my best friends has, and sounds kind of like fibrous dysplasia. Fibromyalgia, fibrous dysplasia, it kind of sounds the same. Like, I have told people that I have fibrous dysplasia, and they're like, oh, I know about that. My grandma and my aunt have that fibromyalgia, and I'm like, no, they don't. It's not fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a horrible, terrible autoimmune disease, but it's not fibromyalgia. It is fibrous dysplasia. I'll put in big letters. Fibrous dysplasia. And the next question is fibrous dysplasia life-threatening? I feel like I answered this question already with the, is fibrous dysplasia fatal? So I would just revert back to that question because like, yeah, it can be life-threatening if you have complications with it in your skull, but like I said, it is very, very, very uncommon that somebody passes away from fibrous dysplasia. But there's two more. The next question, is fibrous dysplasia cancer? No, it is not cancer. There is, I believe, like a 1% chance that it can become cancerous because it is a tumor, but in that situation it's extremely, extremely rare. Just like it's extremely rare for somebody to pass away from the disease, it is extremely rare for fibrous dysplasia to turn into cancer, but it does happen. I will say that no, it is not cancer. It is a benign bone tumor disease, but it is not cancer. It can turn into cancer in very, 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 very small percentages, but that's it. It's not cancer. We do not go through chemotherapy or radiation. Although I know that sometimes we do wish that there was a form of treatment such as those that could shrink our tumors or, you know, get rid of them, but we do not have any kind of treatments that cure it or that it just magically disappears. It doesn't happen like that. And actually most of the time if you try to scrape it out, it just grows right back. Sometimes even worse than it was before. So a lot of people actually have a rule with fibrous dysplasia called do not poke a sleeping bear. That is pretty much how I feel about my disease, and my experiences with fibrous dysplasia is just, yeah, you do not poke a sleeping bear. And the last thing that comes up in the search is fibrous dysplasia painful? I believe that I've answered this question as well. It depends on the person. Yeah, it's really a case-by-case kind of a thing. And same with the levels of pain that somebody is in. So that's what I'm gonna say about that. Is for me, fibrous dysplasia is extremely painful. And I know that it is for a lot of people. But there are some people that don't have very much pain or any really pain at all. So, you know, like it just differs. It's one of those conditions that just differs. That is the last question. I'm pretty much done with eye makeup. I'm just gonna finish a couple of things and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kind of talk about things. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, I've finished my makeup. I'm looking like I'm ready to go somewhere, but I'm probably not. I first wanted to Google all of my diagnoses and then like shove them into the video and like talk about it. I don't know how I was thinking I was going to do that with every single diagnosis I have. So I'm going to turn this into like a multiple part kind of a thing and start with fibrous dysplasia, my very first diagnosis, and then do a video for each one leading up to my most recent. So I think that would be kind of cool. Like I said, I don't think I haven't seen anybody Google their diagnoses and then go on YouTube and talk about what comes up, because especially when you have a rare disease or you don't understand a disease, you're automatic to somebody just decided to mow their lawn right now. Thanks. Yeah, usually when you don't understand a disease or you're just diagnosed with something, you Google it. So I wanted to Google it and see what came up as a person that's had it for a long time and talk about what comes up. So I hope I answered my any questions that you might have had about fibrous dysplasia and that you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm probably going to do multiple parts now. Scoliosis, we can do hip impingement, we can do chronic pain, we can do bilateral pars defect, we can do eating disorder, we can do depression, we can do all different things. So I have a long list of diagnoses that I'm sure we could figure something out. I'll just try to pick the ones that I feel are most relatable to, or that people are uneducated about, like fibrous dysplasia. And once again, I'm just going to say it one more time, I'm linking below the site to the Fibrous Dysplasia Foundation where you can go and donate. Hopefully this video gets more recognition and educates more people about fibrous dysplasia if they were to Google it. And if you would like to help us find a cure and eventually kick this freaking disease in the butt, I'm gonna stay PG friendly over here. Yeah, go and click that link, and like I said, every dollar counts. Let me know if you donate, and I will shout you out in my next video, where I do the makeup and diagnose or Google my diagnosis. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys later.